Houston continues to deliver some amazing artists. I came across this artist with his new album, Nina, and then I had to go back because I was manifesting that he would come to the show because the Hybrid Soul is your destination for R&B discovery. Welcome to the show, Jack Freeman. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How you doing?
I'm amazing.
That's lovely.
I love this new project.
Thank you so much.
But what I love about when I went back in your music catalog, you're consistent with making some good music.
Thank you. Thank you.
I said you're from Houston, and I would love to just discover more about you. I would love to know your beginnings.
Oh, so it's kind of a weird story the way I tell it because it's kind of like exactly what happened. But I was, I grew up an athlete.
Okay.
I played football all the way up to college. I played 2 years at the University of Texas El Paso. When I was done, I just decided I could sing.
Yeah.
I think I could write a song.
Right.
And nobody was telling me, hey, you can't just do that. Like you gotta know how to do it.
Right.
I just started doing it. So, because I always had the singing part of my situation going. Like I've been able to sing since I've known I could sing since maybe like six years old. My dad could sing, my sister could sing. So it was always in me. But I just started making music and I started working with a rap group from Houston called the Nice Guys. And it was like during the blog era of hip hop. So it's like 2009, 2010. Guys like Kendrick Lamar were just coming up. J. Cole, Wiz Khalifa, those guys. So the first show I ever did was I was doing a hook. I was performing a hook that I did with the Nice Guys, opening for J. Cole in his first show in Houston. And at that time, while I'm writing hooks for other people, I'm still trying to learn how to make my own music and learn how to, because I literally knew nothing. I know I need 4 of these or 8 of these or 12 of these or 16 of these because that just feels right.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just do that. I knew what kind of music I liked. I knew the type of music I wanted to make, that like what I wanted to sound like, a kind of. But I was just trying stuff, man, and I put out my first EP in like 2010, and then I was off. Like I just started working with rappers around the city of Houston, and building my name there. So I have the hip hop part of that.
Yeah.
So the Nice Guys, turned into Les, turned into Killer Callion, turned into Bun B, turned into Scarface, turned into Lil Kiki, turned into just all of these people now. So I'm kind of really ingrained into the Houston hip hop culture there, but I'm also building my own thing right here, in Houston, as an R&B artist as well.
How did you apply being an athlete to your artist and songwriter career?
It took a long time to put those two together. And that happened in like the last few years. I think that I was worried a lot about the biggest issue that I had as an artist is that I looked in the mirror one day and I said, you know what? The problem with you is that athlete you and artist you are two different people, and they don't need to be that way. And the reason why I felt that way is because as an athlete, I worked really hard. I lifted the weights. I worked out. I ran. I practiced. I knew my plays. I did everything I did. And at the end of the game, if it was, as a football player, if it was 28-7 and I had 28 and you had 7, there was no disputing the fact that you lost. On the track, if I run a 46-second 400 and you run a 47-second 400, that means I'm faster than you and I beat you today. And there's no disputing that. As an artist, I had to care about what people thought all the time.
Right.
So there was no, this is a definitive fact that this song is good.
Right.
And I learned that I have to stop caring what people thought about my music and about me as much as I didn't care about what people thought as an athlete. Because it doesn't matter if you like me or not. Right. If I beat you, I just beat you. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter if you like LeBron James.
Yeah.
If he won 4 championships.
Yeah.
if he's the highest scoring basketball player of all time, he's got 40,000 points, and you don't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Period.
With music,
Yeah.
it's like you can like Jack Freeman, and then this person cannot like Jack Freeman.
Yeah.
This person can love Raheem DeVaughn, and this person can absolutely hate Raheem DeVaughn. This person could love hip hop and hate R&B.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had to learn that to not care as much, and then I also had to learn that when you get into music, people don't really have the same structure that you
Right.
learn over time. College sports is like almost like being, it's probably the closest thing to being in the military without being in the military and dealing with the things that military people have to deal with, going to war and all that kind of stuff. It's the structure. It's you wake up at this time, you do this, you go to class, you go to meetings, you go to practice. You don't have a summer, you're here doing this.
Discipline.
Yeah. With music, you're working with an artist and it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna be there at 3. And you might not see him till 7 or 8 o'clock.
Right.
Or you may not see him at all. So I had to learn how to build a structure within myself that is still free form, but also speaks to me making sure things get done on time and making sure things get done the right way.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if I leave it in other people's hands sometimes, people that don't really have a structure, then I'm gonna be here all day waiting on people.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of things I learned and that I had to have that epiphany in literally like the last 3-4 years that helped me a lot.
What I love about your music, even going back to some of your earlier, you have a lot of catalog, which is amazing. Amazing.
Thank you.
When we talk about this beautiful project, Nina, that you worked with the legend Bryan Michael Cox, it said that this is probably one of your most sonically put together projects. What was the difference with making Nina versus your other projects?
So this album is the first time I've ever had an actual team. I had an executive producer. I have a manager that I trust. We have a general manager at Bryan's company that's really great. A publicist. Things that I never had. Everything else I did prior to Nina was me by myself, paid for everything by myself, and and it didn't really get far because when you're doing everything by yourself in this industry, you're not gonna really get that far, unless you got a lot of money.
Right.
And with this, what Bryan did, there's something to be said about a guy who's a literal legend in this industry.
Yes.
Probably is going to be a songwriting Hall of Fame one day. He's got 10 Grammys. He's got 8 or 9 Songwriter of the Year awards at CSAC. A guy that knows exactly how to write a song and exactly what something needs. It says a lot about him to be able to look at what I do and not say that's wrong, do this.
Right.
He said, this is really good, but I'm hearing everything that you have, and we just need to give you something that you've been missing here. Not that you can't do it, but you just haven't done it yet here. And so all he did was he took this album, he took what I had, and he said, all right, we need a record for this, we need a record for this, we need a record for this, and still made it me, so where I'm not doing something that I don't want to do.
Right.
He didn't take me and say, we need to make you a Chris Brown record, or we need to make you an Usher record, we need to make you a Jack Freeman record, because I see what your influences are, and we need to lean into that, but also make it Jack Freeman. And that's why sonically it sounds more diverse. There's a couple more upbeat songs there. There's some Afro beat on it. There's some slow jams that aren't as that are more traditional R&B as opposed to soul. It's a lot of that. So teaming up with him just kind of enhanced the whole situation, man. And I really appreciate him for having me on there.
How did that connection happen with Bryan Michael Cox?
We met in 2018 at a show that I was doing in Houston that he came to host. And when we met, we instantly clicked. We became friends. We just started hanging out. And like I tell everybody, I think for the first 3 or 4 years of our relationship, I think most of it was him bringing me in different rooms and just seeing how I would respond in those rooms and how I would act. Making sure that I'm not ruining the room. Because when you're a legend like him, you can't just bring people in a room with Jermaine Dupri or D Nice or some of the people that I've met and go in there and just start knocking stuff over.
Right.
Because when I leave that room, he still has that relationship with those people.
Yeah.
And you got to make sure that you're not ruining those relationships with those people. So people ain't like, who man is this? You know what I mean?
Right.
So it took those 3 or 4 years. We didn't really make no music for like 3 years. And then during COVID, we started making stuff. And then, you know, from then on, I started making my album. And last year I came to him. I had run out of resources. And I was like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do with this album. And he was like, man, you should just let me be the executive producer of it. Let me help you get it across the finish line and see where it goes. And we're here today doing it like that.
As an up-and-coming, as a new artist, how is that feeling, putting your trust into somebody like, because you got catalog, you're a producer, you're a writer. So how does that feel, trusting someone with your baby, basically?
To be honest, it's weird at first. It's weird because even with a guy with that pedigree,
yeah,
it's still your baby.
Yeah.
And it's still like, there's still that, is he really gonna understand me and what I want to do and where I'm comfortable in,
right,
you know, what I want to do. You know what I mean? But me and Bryan have developed a relationship to where I know that like nothing he does is going to be to my detriment.
Yeah.
It's always going to be for the greater good. Even if we tried and it fails, it wasn't so that my career can tank. You know, he's not trying to do me like that. He's not trying to rob me in no type of way. He's not trying to take away something from me that I've worked so hard for. So I've always known that. And he also brought in the idea of having co-writers. So like I'd never had a co-writer until we did this album. So all of the records that we did together, he co-wrote on it, Adonis co-wrote on it, Felly co-wrote on it. Guys that got hits, you know what I mean? And that got to know me very fast, and we made great music very fast. So it was weird at first, but I settled into it real fast.
That's amazing. From start to finish, 10 strong songs.
Thank you.
I want to talk about working. So your song "Undress,"
Mm-hmm.
you got a remix with the legendary group Jagged Edge.
Yes. Yep.
Fire.
Yes, it is fire. If you haven't heard it, you should, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's, you know, it's fire.
Writing that song, how did that song come together? And then I want to ask, how did Jagged Edge get on it?
So we were in the studio in Atlanta. Bryan played the beat. Adonis, I thought I was fast. Adonis is fast.
As far as writing?
Yeah. I want to say he might have stopped talking to me for like 10 minutes and came back and was like, this is the verse. And he sang it to me. And he said, all right, this is the hook. And he sang that to me. And then I went in, I wanted maybe a couple of takes. I laid it down. The second verse, we went into it, me, Bryan, and Adonis, and did input on the second verse. And then, so I knew that was a jam. We did that at MVP the same day.
Wow.
And all within like maybe 3-4 hours of each other. And so we put the record out, and we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do with it. Bryan is like, man, I'm gonna get Jagged on this. And I'm like,
man,
please get Jagged on this.
Yes.
And I had met Bryan Casey a lot going to Ladies Love R&B, which is Bryan's R&B party on Wednesdays in Atlanta. Seeing him out, and I knew that he really liked Shine, and I knew that he respected what I did, and that said a lot for me. So I think Bryan pushing that button and saying, hey, Jagged, can you get on this for me? You know, I think it worked out. And, you know, a few weeks later, I had a verse.
And here we are. Undress the remix.
Yeah.
When you finished that whole project, you gave your baby to Bryan Michael Cox. Mm-hmm. Y'all just put the nice bells and whistles and tweaks on it.
Yeah.
What was one word that you could think about when it was done? You turned it in for release.
There was always relief. Just finishing a project. I think people don't understand the type of sweat equity and the stress that goes into creating a complete body of work.
Yeah.
And then putting it out and then leaving everybody else to hear it and interpret it the way they want to. So relief was the one. But then also, and it's just jamming, man. The album is just jamming.
Yes,
it's a
absolutely.
good album. We were intentional.
Yeah.
There's a lot of words that I could use for it. Intentional about what we wanted to do in the studio. Intentional about what we wanted to say, who we made this music for. And just excitement to be on a new journey with Bryan.
Yeah.
It's a few words: excitement, relief. All of that. It was a lot of fun. So.
I love the whole project, but I have to ask you, because I got to ask you about the touring, but writing, You Should Be Here. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
That would hit me a little different.
Thank you. Labbox, man. Shout out to Labbox. Houston, dope producer.
Yeah.
I think he got 2 Grammys in the tuck. That's the first song we ever did when we met. The very first song we ever did.
Any personal lyrics connect with you on that song?
Yeah, so I wrote it about being in a relationship with somebody for so long, and they've seen your growth over the time.
Yeah.
And maybe when you were with them, you weren't exactly who you are now, and it doesn't necessarily work out, and you have to go your separate ways. But the song is, you see where I'm at now, like and at that time, it didn't mean nothing without that person there, because they saw me when I was here, and now I'm here a little bit, and I'm moving up a little bit. Funny enough, some of the B-roll footage is from New Orleans, when I did a show in New Orleans. So, yeah, like, that was back before before I had all this hair. But, the sentiment is that wherever you are in your life, there's people that you kind of wish were there with you to share it. And sometimes that person may not be there because they're just no longer in the physical. Sometimes they're just no longer here with you, right next to you at that moment. But none of this really means anything if you don't have people to share that your wins with. And it's one of my favorite songs on the album too. So, but I'm biased though. So.
Well, we got to go support you with the Nina project. And I want to talk about, you're on tour with another friend of the show, Kenyon Dixon.
Shout out to Kenyon Dixon, man.
What can we look forward to when we get to that city to see you perform?
Man, straight, amazing R&B.
Yeah.
Just high energy, man. Like, just sexy energy. I think I'm excited. I've been a Kenyon don't even know this. I've been a Kenyon fan for some years now.
He's so dope.
So to see him and his growth over the years, and to see what he's been doing over the years, and for us to run into each other at the BET Awards and him be like, "Hey man, you want to go on tour?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." I think it's gonna be an incredible time. I'm excited to see everybody. I'm excited to get out to Chicago and Atlanta and Charlotte and DC and Philly and New York. I'm excited to see all of that, man. And I'm excited to learn a lot too, because I'm gonna be watching him and seeing what he does and seeing if I can steal a little bit of it. So.
Well, Jack Freeman, you're one of the reasons why I created this show.
Thank
to
you.
discover artists, dope artists like you. We
you.
look forward to more music from you, supporting
Thank you.
Nina, and going back to all the catalog. That's amazing too.
Thank you so much.
I just, if you had any advice to give singer-songwriters out there who may not have that to push, what would you tell them?
So I tell people, like I told people at the BET Awards when they asked me this, everybody that you see on these stages, in the audience, doing press, completing these bodies of work, getting these awards, getting nominated for these awards, everybody's here because they didn't stop. And I'm a living testament to that. There was times where I no longer wanted to do this. Because sometimes it is too hard. It is too messy. The industry is a shitty place sometimes. But if you are good at what you're doing and you're getting better, you don't stop. Bryan always says you're gonna hate yourself more if you quit now. You're gonna hate yourself more now later if you quit now. don't stop, man. Keep writing that song. Keep see that project all the way through. That song you're not really sure about, finish it.
Yeah.
Because if it sucks, it just sucks.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you gotta write the terrible stuff to get to the really good stuff. Because that's how you learn things. Just don't stop, man. Don't stop. When you think, sometimes I look at things and I'm like, man, it just seems so far away from where I am right now. But then I end up right where I'm supposed to be the next week. You know, understand that whatever you believe in, that entity is protecting you a lot of times from the thing that you thought that you wanted.
Yeah.
And saving you for something better so it doesn't ruin you in the long run. And again, just don't quit. Understand who you want to be in this industry.
Yeah.
Don't let nobody compromise who you want to be and what you want to be. And just keep going. If it feels right, do it.
I love it. Well, thank you once again. My special guest today is Jack Freeman. It's a Hybrid Soul with Kelly Kinkaid, your destination for R&B discovery.